and it'll take at least 30 days for the federal government to approve work authorizations from Venezuelan asylum seekers eligible for now the temporary protected status extension that was announced this past Wednesday. That was big news. Mayor Eric Adams says the extension does help, but 3/4 of the migrants from Venezuela are not eligible.
For those 9,500 eligible applicants, the process is far from simple and it's expensive. So joining us this morning is immigration attorney Marie Pereira to explain the process to us and what this extension could mean for other asylum seekers. So good morning, Marie. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Morning.
All right, so let's talk about this. So the application filings, they got underway immediately yesterday. But what about the fees? It kind of defeats the whole purpose of this, right? I mean, it's super expensive for migrants to apply for this. So how are they going to pay for it if they don't even have jobs? They can't work.
Absolutely. The TPS application itself costs $50. Biometrics is $85, and the work authorization is $410. Like you said, Hazel, a whopping $545 for people who are not working. It just doesn't make sense.
And that's not covered by any of the money that's coming in or organizations that are paying for that?
No, there are no organizations paying. There is a fee waiver option, but it's difficult too because it's discretionary and you have to show proof of poverty, which often is difficult for a migrant who doesn't have an address, who hasn't been approved for any type of public assistance to qualify for the waiver. Sometimes the waiver is granted, but it's very rare and extremely difficult to get.
Wow. Well, the feds say they want to turn around these applications quickly, though. On average, how long does it take, though, for this work authorization to get approved?
I have personally done hundreds of them. It takes anywhere from 3 months to 15 months. There are times when we at Haiti Immigration Project apply for a migrant, and it takes more time than the permit is valid. It comes expired.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, but it's interesting because they said they want to expedite the whole process, and it kind of seems like it's not really an expedited process when you look at the numbers. So why, I guess, then was TPS, I think the mayor is also asking this question, granted specifically for Venezuelans and not for asylum seekers from other countries as well? Now, I know that 40% are from Venezuela, but there are other countries.
There are other countries who qualify just as well as Venezuelans. And while I feel it's proper to give it to Venezuelans because of the unrest, the violence, the kidnappings in their countries, so are countries like Haiti.
Yeah.
Haiti's experiencing the same type of violence, unrest, if not more. Their president was assassinated last year. I think all these countries need to qualify the same way as the Venezuelans are deemed qualified for the
Could they be doing it
extension.
in a could they be doing it in a staggered approach, maybe because of the amount of people that there are here? It's stagger it, allow Venezuelans first because they're the highest number, and see how the paperwork goes so it's not just a bum rush all at once?
It's possible, and I hope that you're right, because at the end of the day, Haiti deserves the same extension that Venezuela does, and other countries whose situations are just as dire with unrest, kidnapping, all of it.
But again, let's be clear about who actually qualifies for this, right? Because it's only those who got here before July, is it the end of July of this year, correct?
Yes, Venezuelans who are here as before July 31st now qualify for temporary protective status. Yes, before July 31st.
But for those that are already here that have TPS status, can they reapply for an extension? At this point?
Those who are already here, who already have TPS status, have not been affected. What the government has done is they've extended the date to say, you know what, if you arrived here before July 31st, we will also give you TPS status as well.
Because I think a lot of folks would be concerned, though, that when that extension expires, that they will be deported.
Yeah.
They will look at the country conditions which warranted the extension and the redesignation of the TPS in the first place, and they'll make an educated decision on whether or not this area is still fragile, is there still political unrest, kidnappings, gang violence, human rights violations. If those conditions still exist, they can extend the TPS and look at it every 18 months.
Right, so it's every 18 months for the TPS status. But what if somebody's an asylum seeker seeker who comes here, they want to work, and then they want to stay for good. That's a whole different process.
That's a whole different process. You have to apply for asylum. You have to wait approximately 150 days before you can even ask for a work permit. And then the asylum has to be granted before you're considered for residency.
One of the surveys that came out from the mayor's office was that not everybody was actually applying for the work authorization because they didn't want to have a paper trail or a record of them even being here, right? So a lot of folks were working on what the mayor called the black market, right? Going for some jobs, getting paid off the books. Is that what you see in your experience?
In my experience, a lot of people come here and they do what they can to try to make a living. And even before they apply for work authorization, yes, there's a lot of working in the black market and under the table because that's the only way they can do it. Because like I said, even the asylum seeker who rightfully applies for asylum, they can't even apply for work authorization until 150 days.
Wow. Well, I guess the optimistic people will say, well, baby steps, but we definitely need bigger steps, don't we, Marie? Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
All right, and then join me this Sunday, everybody, on Picks on Politics. Just a programming note. Speaking of the asylum seekers, what is it doing to the education system, right? So many students, 20,000 asylum-seeking students have entered the school system. So we're going to be going one-on-one with David Banks, the school's chancellor. I did put out the call on social media. Hundreds of questions came in. We selected a few of them to bring directly to the school's chancellor, so you are the ones driving this interview. Plus, we're going to be speaking to the DEA special agent in charge, Frank Tarantino, about the rise of fentanyl here in New York after that horrible case in the Bronx. One child lost her life there in that daycare. This Sunday, 7:30 on Picks on Politics. All right.